Beautiful humans, welcome back to the I Like Birds podcast. I'm your host, Zach Rippey, and this podcast is dedicated to the non-believers, the confused believers, and the true believers. Because I, at one time or another, was all three. So I'm here to help you get a better understanding of who Jesus is and what he's all about. I'd love to grow in our faith together. You learn as I learn. I like the Bible, and I like words, so therefore, I like birds. Let's start the show.
People, are you ready? Let's start the show. Let's start the show.
Beautiful humans, I hope you're having a great Friday so far. I hope you're having a great weekend whenever you decided to listen to this. I hope you're having a great day in general. This is episode 23, y'all, and 23 is my favorite number of all time, so I know that this one's going to be special, and I know it's even going to be more special because I'm actually dedicating this episode to you, my little birds. And I call you my little birds because I like birds and you like birds. And with this podcast, I feel like I'm truly feeding my little birds. And I'm feeding you the Jesus seeds that eventually make you become a big bird. And I'm a little bird too, but we're eating those Jesus seeds, baby. And we're growing in our faith together. And when we both eat these Jesus seeds, maybe one day the podcast might be called I'm Finally a Bird, down the road 5 years from now and whatnot. And I actually want to write a bunch of books, and keep it in the bird kind of family. And maybe I'll write a book called We Are Finally Birds. And I actually think my first book is going to be called I Was Once a Bird Too. Kind of just connecting with people as far as like before I knew Jesus versus how I know Jesus now. And just showing how my life has been always waiting to get to this part in life. This is way better than the old life I lived. And I just remember when people used to make me feel like following Jesus was also for the birds. You ever hear that expression like, oh, that's for the birds, meaning it's lame, but I like birds, man, and I like Jesus. And clearly you guys do too. So I will say that this episode is dedicated to you. And I wanted you guys that listen consistently and just people that just listen in general. Not even consistently, people that listen in general that are fans of the show. I wanted to tell you guys about this first instead of just blasting it on social media. And I have 3 things to tell you that's pretty huge, all right? And the first one is this Sunday, I'm getting baptized at my church. And what's so special about this is there's so much that's special. But actually, I was just the other day, me and Catherine went to like a Camp Gladiator kind of workout where you basically just work out outside in our church parking lot. And I looked across the street, and it was actually the house that we lived in was across the street from our church, right? The house we lived in our first year in Texas. And that was the only house we looked at. It was the only house that my in-laws went to go look at to see if it was like, good enough for us to live in. And we moved there without even seeing it in person, moved there, lived there for a year. And we ended up going to the church that I'm actually being baptized in because it was so conveniently close to our house. So it's crazy how like God called me to Texas, right? And then he put me in a house that was right across the street from a church, the church that I'm actually getting baptized in, and the church that actually plugged me into the program that I'm going to be starting in the fall. So it's just so crazy how like God be moving like that. So I wanted to share that with you guys. And also my mom and my brother are coming up here for Malachi's birthday, his first birthday party that we're going to have. And I'm going to get baptized with her and my brother in town. And she has no idea. So I'm pretty hyped about it because she has no idea it's going to happen. And it's so sweet because my wife's family's coming too. And both my in-laws, my sister-in-laws, my brother-in-law, like they're all super pumped for me. And I didn't even I told Catherine, and Catherine invited everybody for me. So it was very sweet of her to do that. And it's so special to me because they're leaving their house during COVID to come to a church they aren't familiar with to see me get dunked underwater by my favorite pastor I've ever had. Actually, my connections pastor, the one that's been like my go-to guy named Dustin, he's the one that's going to be baptizing me. And I just found out today, but still my favorite pastor is going to be in the room, baby. You know what I mean? Like he's going to be there. And I think the reason Dustin's baptizing me is because, me and him just have a really good relationship. Like we've hung out a few times and he's just really plugged me into like the program I'm going to start. He's really helped me just grow as like a person as far as like, getting connected more in the church and whatnot. So he's been dope. So I'm happy he's baptizing me because I have a good relationship with him. And my main pastor, I'm like, kind of like, I treat him, like, oh my gosh, you're talking to me right now because like he's so dope, So I'm kind of glad that for comfortability sense, as far as whatnot, is that Dustin's going to baptize me. But anyway, my wife also suggested that I do get baptized before I even really was on fire for Jesus, right? Before I ever started this pod, before I ever really opened up the word and actually like read it slow, and she was encouraging me to do it. And I think she knew all along I'd do it when I was ready. And let's just say I'm ready. And I'm just ready to do it, man. I've been reading about it in the Bible, and I'm just ready to go even more public in my faith. But I even think it's bigger than that, guys. I think Christian baptism it says it in the Bible. It's one of the 2 ordinances that Jesus instituted for the church. And just before his ascension, which means when he went back into heaven after he was resurrected from the dead, he met with his disciples and he told them all, like specifically said these words, "Go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age." Matthew 28 verses 19 through 20. I definitely recommend you read Matthew if you haven't. So good, so powerful, so beautiful. And these instructions basically specify that the church is responsible to teach us Jesus' word, make disciples, and baptize those disciples. So your boy's a disciple now. These things are to be done everywhere in all nations, as it says, until the very end of age. So it's not supposed to be just America and our world and whatnot. It's supposed to be everywhere. So that's why you see mission trips happening all the time, because guess what? We got to spread this gospel, baby. We have to go show people who Jesus is that have never heard about Jesus, right? And that's what my calling is, I feel like, in life. Eventually, as far as missions, but with my words and with my books. And that's kind of the way I feel God is calling me. As far as being in ministry, I feel like that's going to just keep growing, and I pray it does, and I hope it does, because I love it. And Jesus commands us to do a lot for him, right? We can kind of tell that by these episodes. We can kind of tell that by the gospel. And a lot of stuff that he commands us to do makes humans feel uncomfortable, especially uncomfortable in the eyes of other people who's living in this judgy, aggressive, selfish-driven culture, especially here in America. So I do feel that it's so important to get baptized, and it's so important to show people your faith. It's such a strong thing to do. And I think that we don't really see that too much on social media, because it's a judgy world out here, man. You do that and you're going to lose some people, man. People hated Jesus then. They hate him now for some reason. So, or they just don't know. They're uneducated, everything in between, right? So I'm just happy to share with you guys first that this is happening on this Sunday. And please just pray for me that I'm present and I feel all the Jesus in my heart while I'm there, and don't have any fear in my spirit. Good vibes only for Sunday. And it's also Malachi's first birthday party that day, so your boy's going to need some extra prayers just to make sure it goes smoothly and whatnot. And guys, you listening, my little birds, if you guys are considering baptism, hit me up, all right? I hope you figure out how to do it. It's such an easy process in most churches. And you can also be baptized by another follower of Jesus. I don't know if you guys know that. Share with you guys another baptism experience I had. My sister-in-law Sharon and my niece Ava got baptized in a small pool. It was a hot tub by my father-in-law Sarge, right? And it was beautiful, right? It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful that I almost hopped in, not to get baptized, but to get in that hot tub with the fam, right? How are you not gonna get in the hot tub when everybody else is in the hot tub? But no, I'm kidding. It was just so beautiful, man. It was. I felt the Holy Spirit moving inside me that day, even before I really knew what that was. Right? I felt like, oh, this is different, And I'll get into that more later as far as Holy Spirit on another episode, because it is real. So please reach out to me if you're ready for that. It's also a way of expressing that the old you is dead and washed away, and you are born into a new life of Christ, which I think is beautiful, and I think you do too. So that's pretty dope, and I want to experience that myself, and I'd love for you to experience that as well. So hit me up if you have any questions, or you just want to reach out and talk some Jesus. I'm always here for you guys. Also, I used to plug the email for the show, but emails I feel like are so dead and so like radio in 1990s. So I actually just recently created a Instagram page specifically for the show that you can see more stuff as far as the episodes when they drop. You can see some background information. You can see background writings. You can see verses, quotes of the show. You can just see so much more on there, because I'm going to feel free to like post more than I do on my normal Instagram account. And normal Instagram account, I feel like, is flooded with people who don't really rock with Jesus like that. So as much as I want to reach those people, I can tell by the algorithms that the right people aren't really seeing it that are interested in the show. So I just wanted to have, a show for the fans really to go to. And it's called I Like Birds Podcast 23. All right. So the number of this episode, my favorite number that we already talked about, I Like Birds Podcast 23 on Instagram. Hit me up. Please follow me on there. I'm going to send out a special message to everybody in the next few days that I know rock with the show, and hopefully you guys follow it and then keep up with the show on there, because that's mostly what I'm going to be doing, because dude, I don't really want to be posting too much anything else anymore. I'm just all about the show and all about Jesus, so, and my family, of course. But I just want you guys to go there if you ever want to talk to me or reach out to me, or just follow along with the show, just because I'm going to post more stuff than I do now as far as Jesus related stuff. And also Speaking of baptism, man. You know what's actually cool? I forgot to add this part. I'm actually the first baptism at my church since COVID. And as we say on the streets in Burleson, that's pretty tight. Right? And then, all right, I told you guys we had 3 things to talk about. Thing number 2, to tell you guys that I wanted to tell you first because you were my little birds. And I just love you guys so much for listening. The show now has, the I Like Birds show now has over 1,000 listens. In a little over 2 months, 1,000 times someone said, let me hear what he has to say about Jesus. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's no better feeling in the world than what I just said, right? There's no better feeling than that. 1,000 plays. And guys, when I started this podcast, I promise you in my soul, I thought maybe 4 people would listen a week. That's what I thought in my head. If I had 4 people I could help know Jesus, that would be enough. That would be everything. But God gave me over 100 different people and let that happen over 1,000 times in 2 months. What can we do through him when seeking him and living life for him? The answer of what we can do through him is everything. He will provide. He will give you opportunities. He will open doors. He will help you feel like you're doing the right thing for him. And that's what that 1,000 plays symbolized the other day when I saw it. It's 1,000 plays, man. 73 hours of listening time. The average time per device is 1 hour and 9 minutes, which means the episodes are usually around 30 minutes. That means people are coming back again to hear about Jesus. Through little old me, through a little old bird like me, they're coming back. 1,000 plays, y'all, and I could not have done it without you guys. That's why this episode is dedicated to you on my favorite number of all time, on one of my favorite days of all time, Friday. Y'all are coming back week after week, silently coming back, consistently. And I couldn't have done it without you guys sharing the show and loving the show. And I'm just so appreciative of you guys. And I can see y'all sharing it too. Like, it's like I don't see too much of it on social media. I do a little bit. And when I do, I'm so grateful. But you already know if you listen to the show, I want you to share it with people that are in your circle, like sending it in a text, sending it in a DM, and like really putting like your heart behind it is like what I'm striving for, or just talking to people in person about it. That's what I'm striving for. The social media stuff is actually for the birds. And this podcast, y'all are definitely sharing it because the podcast has been heard in 29 states. 29 states. I've only lived in 2, right? I only know people from 2 states for the most part. 29 states. Either y'all are sharing it or y'all been going on a lot of vacations this summer and listening. Y'all been in Colorado. Y'all been in Missouri. Y'all been in Alabama. Y'all been in, here's the one that's super surprising that has so many listens is Virginia. I don't even know who the heck. I looked up on Facebook, friends who live in Virginia. Didn't see nothing, right? But I don't know. Somehow y'all are sharing it with people who live in Virginia. Appreciate y'all. And it's been heard in 9 countries, which is a cool little stat. 9 countries. Honduras is second. Shout out to the Mendozas out there doing the Lord's work. Having a mission called Connect Global, I think is what it's called. Connect Global. Check it out. The mission that they're doing out there is super great. They're always helping people out in Honduras. Connect Global. If you want to check it out, hit me up. If you're interested, I got you. Let me think right now. What are we talking about next? Okay, so 1,000 plays, right? That's what we're talking about. 1,000 ears, 1,000 hearts, 1,000 minds. 1,000 ears feel better than $1,000. I'll tell you that. So thank y'all so much. And it's not even about the numbers. It's not even about the numbers. It's about the impact. It's about the impact. And it's so funny when I talk to people about this podcast, they're really telling me that they can tell it's having an impact on people's lives, right? And I'm like, how do you tell that? They're like, I can just tell from my listening to it and what it's doing on my life. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you're making me blush. You're making me feel like all the things inside, right? And I'll tell you guys this. If you guys have been listening to the show recently, you know that my best friend has started reading the Bible. My best friend since I was 10 years old is listening to every episode for the most part, it seems like, binging them and just like listening to it with his girlfriend. And he just finished John, and I think he read Ephesians, and now he's in Matthew. And his girlfriend is too. For the first time ever, they are saying, "Who is Jesus?" ? And it's so funny because I sent him a Bible, and he took a little bit longer to read it than I wanted him to, but that's okay. As long as he found it when he needed it, and that's exactly what this show is all about, right? And I prayed I prayed hard that their hearts would open up to him, and God answered those prayers so quick. Their hearts have been open, and it's about the impact of the show. Listen to this message that my best friend's girlfriend sent me. I hope she doesn't mind me sharing it, but we do what we want on the I Like Birds podcast. All right, it says, "Hey, Zach, I've been listening to your podcast a lot lately, and I just wanted to let you know they've made a huge impact on me. I never really had a relationship with God, but I grew up around having good morals. I went to a few churches growing up, but they never really spoke to me the way you have. You're so great at breaking down these scriptures and applying it to everyday life. That has made learning about God much easier for me. I started reading the Bible, and I found a lot of passages that really spoke to me. Now I find myself thinking of God and Jesus when I feel certain ways, or even how I should respond to situations and others. I'm making better decisions and even feeling less anxiety because I'm following God/Jesus. Not sure what to say, both ? And I answered that for her. And anyways, I just wanted to say thank you, and you're doing an awesome job with the podcast, and I hope you eventually make daily podcasts because I would love to start my day with one. Anyways, I just wanted to say thank you." And that was so sweet. I sent her a message back, like so hyped up. Man, I get once I get something like that, I feel like Jesus is like talking to me as far as what I need to say back. And I get fired up and I start writing like I'm writing an episode to her, so I feel bad. I sent her like 6 messages, but I was so hyped. And she said, "Thank you for here's the follow-up messages from what she said back. "Thank you for these messages. Now that I'm beginning to learn more about God and Jesus, it's just been a bit confusing as far as who you were praying to and whatnot, so I appreciate the clarity. I'm going to read one of the Gospels tonight. I was reading the beginning of Genesis, but I felt like it was information that I kind of knew about, so I started really getting into Proverbs, which I really enjoyed reading because it talks about being good to others, controlling emotions, and avoiding worldly thoughts and sins. I also found the book Not a Fan. And I just started reading it, so I can't say much, but I'm excited. I'm also going to check out the podcast I sent her, which was Stephen Furtick's Elevation. And if you have any questions, I hope you don't mind if I come to you. Yes, please come to me anytime. I love talking Jesus with anybody and everybody. Also, I'm not sure if Mikey told you, but we listened to your podcast together, and I feel like it's brought us closer and has made us even stronger. To be able to have these discussions with him have been so amazing. I've seen Michael and myself growing from this experience already, so I'm excited to learn more about God and really change my life around. It's nothing but positivity. Let's go. Let's go. If you guys this podcast has reached people, and I've gotten nice messages, and it's just been so sweet, and it's really just made my heart on fire. But man, that one just got me so good, in my heart and soul, because dude, I want to see Mikey when I die. I gotta see Mikey and Bianca when I die. I gotta see him up there, bro. And people beat around the bush when it comes to heaven and hell, but man, I believe it. I mean, God tells us to believe it, and God tells us what it is and shows us what it is in Revelation. Wait till episode that comes out on Tuesday. Oh my goodness. Wait till that one. Ooh, please tune in, because you're going to not want to miss that one. But I really want to just thank Bianca, thank Mikey for trusting me, for trusting what I say about Jesus, to know how dope he really is yourselves. And I'm so grateful that they hear it, and then they go and do their own thing too. That means the world to me. My heart burns with love when I read those messages. And his love, God showed me what it feels like to bring people closer to him, right? God has shown me what it feels to bring people closer to him. And this is the most important thing that I've ever done in my life. And it will only keep growing. So 1,000 plays, as much as I like the way it sounds, the way it looked, and the way it felt, messages like that and the impact it's having really just mean the world to me. So this whole episode is dedicated to you guys who listen, man. 1,000 plays in 2 months. How fast can we make it? 2,000, 5,000, 10,000. And if you missed an episode, go back, because I promise you there are words from him flowing out of me. So it's God's words. If it's your first time here, second time here, let's go. Welcome to the birdhouse, baby. Welcome to the birdhouse. That's the new thing, right? You can invite all your other birds too. We don't bite. We just chirp the words amen every now and then. Know what I mean? Chirp, chirp. All right. I'm getting silly, but man, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. You guys have made me want to read harder, write better, write more, and just praise Jesus in a way I never thought possible. And life changes so fast. It says in Revelation 3 that we're going to talk about on Tuesday. It says in Revelation 3, Jesus is the one who is holy and true, the one who has the key of David. What Jesus opened, no one can close. And what he closes, no one can open. God closed a big door in my life. A big door. He closed stand-up comedy. He closed money. He closed the want for fame, aspirations. He closed that. He closed that door and he closed the people in that door. He closed that door and he opened up the biggest, the most hugest golden door for me. And that makes that last door look like a mouse's door, right? So God will do things in your life. What is God closing in your life? I ask you. What is he opening right now? Are you going through his door or are you going through your door? Man, think about it. Think about it. And maybe right now you don't know what doors those are, but pray about it. Pray to ask God, what doors you want me to go through? What doors are you opening for me to go through? And that's a real prayer, man. That's a real prayer that if you, it's scary because once you ask, he may show you. So I don't think you're ever really ready for it. I just think do it and then boom, he'll give you the guidance to go through that door. And it's funny because my former comedian friends barely talk to me now that I'm out of it. And I understand because I treated people that way too. Once people just stopped doing comedy, I was like, I'm not talking to them again. But also like I made really good friends with these people, man. And I'm like, guys, I'm still cool. I'm still funny. I just can't do what I want to do. I have to do what he wants me to do because he's called me. He put his hand on me and he pushed me through the golden door. He's also opened up so many opportunities for me to say yes to him. I promise I'm still a good dude. And who cares? You know, you lose people when you follow Jesus, and I'm cool with that. But also in my heart, I want them to know Jesus. So I'm like, come on, guys, listen to the show. Come on, come on. Put that down. Pick this up, you know? And he opens so many doors, and he opens opportunities if you just say yes to him. And he will in your life too. God creates paths, opportunities, and blessings for all when you follow him. He tells us that. And the third thing I want to tell you is this. I told you we had 3 things to talk about. The third thing I want to tell you is this Tuesday, I have one of the most insane episodes coming out that it was so good that I almost didn't record this one because I was like, I just want to record that one and release it ASAP because it's so good. And I'll tell you why it's so good is because we're in the first 3 chapters of Revelation and it is the most incredible thing I've read in so long. All right. It made words pour out of me that I really want you to hear. All right. So please listen to that one and share the heck out of it when it comes out because, man, it's so special to me that I already got it. I'll give you some inside baseball. I wrote part 1 and I was like, okay, I have so much more to say. I wrote part 2 also. So there's going to be 2 parts coming out Tuesday and Friday, most likely. My mom's coming in town. So I'm super excited about that, guys. And again, man, this show is nothing without you. So this episode and every episode is really dedicated to you. Seeing you guys listen to it every week without me even really doing much except posting 1 or 2 things on social and it just me letting it go and you guys doing what you can with it, man, it's meant the world to me. And Jesus has blessed me with your ears for a reason. And he's blessed me with your hearts for a reason. And I'm so grateful for that. And I promise you guys to never take that for granted. I will never take that for granted. I had to say it twice so you know I meant it. And I just promise to always keep it as real as possible. And I'll tell you guys, I'll just leave you guys with one more thing. I told Catherine about the success of the podcast as far as 1,000 listens, and I showed her the message from Bianca, and I've showed her some things from time to time as far as like the impact it's having. And man, she just said something to me that was like so special. She said, people are listening to what you're saying. Your words are having an effect on them. Like always tell the truth, always just be you, always just be honest, and always just, she just really just put this energy on my heart where I felt like good about it. You know, she really made me feel the way, like she did it so nonchalantly, but the way she did it just really just made me feel like, man, you're right. The words on this podcast have so much power in people's lives. And I want to have that forever, you know, and that's why I'm pursuing him the way I am. And it's not for me though, you know, it's for other people to know him. Cause it's just, I was telling my friend Rob Ross the other night, we had some dinner and I told him, I was like, man, it just breaks my heart how many people don't know anything about Jesus. They don't know who he is and what he really did. They see him differently because of what other people have done to tell them about him. You know, like they sold us Jesus and oh my gosh, they did a terrible job because the gospel's so real. I'm telling you, on Tuesday, you will see why the gospel is so dope. Oh, Tuesday and Friday, part 1 and 2. It's called Put On for Jesus, man. You're going to love it. I'll leave you guys with this, man. Share this episode, share the show as you guys have been doing. I appreciate you guys so much. This whole episode is dedicated to you. God is good. Jesus is dope. But hey, this episode is for you. Thank you.